Spoke to Sajjan Gohel about the death of the king and the future of the Thai monarchy. He's the International Security Director at the Asia Pacific Foundation in London. I began by asking him to describe the king's influence.
King Bhumibol has been the monarch since 1946. That's 70 years. Generations have grown up only knowing him, and whatever political and social instability there's been in Thailand, the king was very much seen as the constant, as often the peacemaker. He basically crossed political lines. He was somebody respected with civilian politicians, the military, those amongst the political elite, and also the villagers. He had mass appeal, a very popular person, and now Thailand enters uncharted territory.
You mentioned the word respect, and there's been a lot of people who've called into question the crown prince, some calling him a playboy. Talk to me about him being named as a successor. He says he wants to delay in the process. He wants a delay in the process. Talk to me about some of the hurdles he'll have to overcome.
Well, Prince Vajiralongkorn has a huge burden now to face, especially to try and emulate his father. He doesn't necessarily have the same level of popularity. He has also courted some controversy in the past because of his lifestyle. And his role is to try and unite the country politically, socially. At the moment, the National Council for Peace and Order, which is a military junta that runs the country, is supportive that he becomes the next king of the country. They're not looking to change the situation. But as we've been discussing, that this is a lot of uncertainty for Thailand and how they move forward.
And the princess, talk to me about her role and her ties to China.
Princess Sirindhorn is very popular. She is seen as the people's ambassador because of the fact that she developed very close relations with a number of countries, including China. She studied at the very prestigious Peking University. She is fluent in Mandarin and speaks various languages. She is seen as a unifying force, and that is why there's often been this concern in the aftermath of King Bhumibol's death that could there be potential rivalry between the designate king and also the princess, who themselves don't necessarily get on as media has speculated in Thailand.
Talk to me about the bombings, because we've talked about those in the past, about the political divisions, about this insurgency, the Constitution, with a lot of people who are up in arms about. How does the monarchy deal with that? I mean, what role does it play in terms of keeping, or at least bringing some stability to this country?
Well, the monarchy in Thailand is effectively ceremonial. They don't have any political power, but they do have enormous symbolic influence, as King Bhumibol has wielded in the past. Now, effectively, the country is being run by Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha, who's also the general. He calls the shots. He's taken over at a very difficult time. There is that social instability. There's been small acts of terrorism in southern Thailand. And there is a worry that with this instability, it could fuel further tensions between the politicians and the military that oppose each other, which has been often the hallmark of the challenges in Thailand recently.
So look in your crystal ball. How do you see the future of Thailand given this kind of uncertainty that we're seeing today?
Well, unless there is something very spectacular that takes place, it is very likely that Prince Vajiralongkorn is going to become the king. It's just a question of when now. The country is still in a period of mourning. Once that is over, the coronation is to take place. He at the moment has the support of the National Council for Peace and Order. But this is a country that also is very sensitive to outside speculation. It's also a country that has experienced a lot of challenges as well, and it's dependent on its economy for tourism. They don't want a situation to emerge where tourists will be deterred from coming, as already they've had problems with political stability. The last thing they want is there to be this perception that the country isn't progressing and moving on in the tragic aftermath of King Bhumibol's death.